Police stormed the offices of Turkey's main opposition CHP party on Sunday, firing tear gas and rubber bullets at a crowd of party supporters and officials gathered outside the gates. It was a violent end to a standoff that had been going on for several hours between members of the Republican People's Party, or CHP, and its new court-appointed leadership.
Voters in Texas head to the polls on Tuesday for the Republican runoff in the highly contentious U.S. Senate primary between endorsed State's Attorney General Ken Paxton and John Cornyn, the incumbent who has represented Texas in the U.S. Senate since 2002. Whoever wins the runoff will advance to November's midterm elections, where they will face the Democratic nominee, James Talarico.
The National Database and Registration Authority, NADRA, has issued a public advisory for overseas Pakistanis, categorically stating that it has no authorized consultants, agents or dealers for processing identity documents or handling online applications on its behalf. The authority has urged citizens living abroad to use only official NADRA platforms to avoid fraud, financial loss, and potential misuse of personal data. In a message shared on social media, NADRA clarified that no private individual, firm or third-party service provider anywhere in the world has been authorized to accept applications, collect payments or process computerized identity documents for Pakistanis. The advisory specifically targets overseas Pakistanis who often rely on intermediaries to manage documentation and identity card services from abroad. The United States and Iran appear closer than ever to a deal that would end a war that has engulfed the Middle East and disrupted the global oil market. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the world might get some good news soon after President Donald Trump announced an agreement had been largely negotiated and would include the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz.
At least 24 people have been killed in a blast targeting a train carrying military personnel in Pakistan's restive southwestern province of Balochistan. According to a senior official, army servicemen were among those killed in the provincial capital, Quetta, on Sunday in the attack, which wounded more than 50 people.
I have accomplished the unthinkable. I have learned to sleep soundly through the night without my phone at my bedside. Please hold your applause. If it weren't for the dreamy alarm clock, I'm not sure that this Herculean feat would have been possible. If it feels as though I am bragging that I brushed my teeth this morning, then you are not Dreamy's target audience. But I certainly am, and I'm not alone in feeling so attached to my phone that I'm basically a cyborg. Known for its crystal clear waters and white sandy beaches, Cape Verde is set to steal the spotlight for very different reasons this summer. The archipelago of 10 islands in the Atlantic Ocean is making its football World Cup debut in North America, arriving at the global showpiece as one of 10 African representatives.
An Israeli air raid on a home in Gaza has killed 3 members of a family, including a 6-month-old child, medical workers said, as Israel continues to violate the ceasefire brokered by the United States last year. Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Deir el-Balah in central Gaza said it received the bodies of a couple and their young child in the early hours of Sunday morning.
Clashes have broken out between protesters and riot police after an anti-government rally in the Serbian capital, Belgrade. Large crowds of demonstrators poured into central Belgrade on Saturday, many carrying banners and wearing T-shirts emblazoned with the Students' Win motto of the youth movement that organised the gathering.
Pakistan, along with 13 other nations, on Sunday condemned the illegal and unacceptable step of the so-called Somaliland opening a purported embassy in occupied Jerusalem, terming it an infringement on the legal and historical status of Jerusalem. The Foreign Office said Somaliland is a breakaway region of Somalia. Security forces have killed 11 terrorists in the Datakel area of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa's North Waziristan district during the last 48 hours. The military's media affairs wing said on Sunday. A statement by the Inter-Services Public Relations said security forces had engaged multiple terrorist locations as part of a series of intelligence-based operations in the area.
India voiced concern on Sunday over a US visa crackdown, striking a rare critical note even as it expressed broad alignment with Secretary of State Marco Rubio on other fractious issues. Paying his first visit to India, Rubio said the two democracies were on the same page on all major issues, brushing aside recent unease in New Delhi over trade, China and the Iran war. A group of Senegalese football supporters jailed following their country's chaotic, violence-plagued Africa Cup of Nations, AFCON, final in Morocco in January, have returned home after being pardoned by the Moroccan king. King Mohammed VI granted the fans a pardon on humanitarian grounds on the occasion of the Muslim holiday of Eid al-Adha, Morocco's royal court said on Saturday. United States President Donald Trump says a memorandum of understanding on an agreement with Iran has been largely negotiated and would reopen the Strait of Hormuz, the vital oil choke point closed since the US and Israel launched their war in February. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif of Pakistan, the mediator in the talks, said the next round of negotiations between the US and Iran will happen very soon.
Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif on Sunday highlighted 4 key areas with immense potential for bilateral cooperation between Pakistan and China. The Premier landed in Hangzhou on Saturday, kicking off his 4-day official visit to China. He will also visit Beijing, where he is expected to meet the top Chinese leadership.
At least 20 people have been killed and 70 others injured in an explosion targeting a train transporting military personnel in Pakistan. The blast occurred while the train was travelling through Chaman Fatak station in Quetta, the capital of the western Balochistan region, on Sunday morning.
At least 23 people have been killed and 71 injured after a suicide bomb attack near a railway station in the southwestern Pakistani city of Quetta on Sunday as a train was passing through. The militant organisation Baloch Liberation Army, BLA, which demands independence from Pakistan's central government, has claimed responsibility for the attack.
A man has been shot dead by United States Secret Service officers after opening fire on a security checkpoint near the White House, and a bystander has been wounded in the gunfire. Several US media outlets have identified the gunman as Nasir Best, a 21-year-old man from the neighbouring state of Maryland who was known to the Secret Service and had a documented history of mental health conditions.
United States President Donald Trump says a possible agreement between Washington and Tehran to end months of war is now largely negotiated, raising hopes that tensions in the region could ease after a flurry of diplomatic overtures involving multiple countries. The proposed Memorandum of Understanding, MU, reportedly includes reopening the Strait of Hormuz as vital shipping lane for crude oil and gas, as well as talks aimed at formally ending the US-Israel war on Iran.
United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio says significant progress has been made in talks to end the US-Israeli war on Iran, hours after President Donald Trump claimed that a memorandum of understanding to end the fighting was largely negotiated. Rubio, who is on his first official visit to India, said on Sunday that the emerging deal would address Trump's concerns about the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran has largely blocked since the US and Israel launched their war on February 28.
Telegram founder Pavel Durov on Saturday called WhatsApp's encryption a giant fraud and accused it of misleading users about how secure their messages really are. In a post shared on X, Durov claimed that WhatsApp employees have access to virtually all private messages and cited a lawsuit filed in Texas against Meta-owned WhatsApp over alleged privacy misrepresentation.
The government of Sindh has issued a corrigendum announcing public holidays for Eid al-Adha across the province. According to the Services General Administration and Coordination Department, 26, 27 and the 28th of May 2026, Tuesday to Thursday, have been declared public holidays for all government offices, autonomous and semi-autonomous bodies, corporations and local councils under the Sindh government. At least 16 people have died of heatstroke in southern India so far this summer, officials said on Sunday, as a heatwave gripped swathes of the country following official health warnings. India is no stranger to scorching summers, but years of scientific research have found climate change is causing heatwaves to become longer, more frequent and more intense.
A bomb explosion in Quetta, the capital of the southwestern Pakistani province of Balochistan, has killed at least 20 people and wounded more than 50 others. Separatist group Balochistan Liberation Army claimed responsibility for Sunday's blast, which took place when a train was travelling through the city, causing some carriages to overturn and catch fire. Russia has hit Kyiv and its surrounding areas with a large missile and drone attack, killing 4 people and wounding more than 60, Ukrainian authorities say, after Moscow had threatened retaliation for strikes in Russian-occupied eastern Ukraine. The explosions started just after 1 a.m. on Sunday, after might launch by Ukraine's Air Force that Russia might launch, after the warnings a hypersonic Oreshnik ballistic missile. Sayun, Yemen. During the early years of the Yemen war, which broke out in September 2014, food and shelter were relatively adequate in camps hosting many of the country's 4.8 million internally displaced people, IDPs. But nearly 12 years of conflict and growing instability have led to a dire situation inside and outside IDP camps, while the collapse of the Yemeni rial has seen an inflationary spiral, creating the worst food crisis since 2022, with more than half the population experiencing extreme food insecurity.
Quetta. At least 14 people were killed and several others were injured after a blast tore through a shuttle train in Quetta on Sunday morning. The Balochistan government said state-run APP, citing railway authorities, said the shuttle train was heading from Quetta cantonment to the railway station when it was targeted near Chaman Fatak shortly after 8 a.m.
A man has died after being attacked by a shark off the coast of the northeastern Australian state of Queensland. Police have confirmed emergency services were called to a boat ramp on the Cassowary coast between the cities of Cairns and Townsville just before noon local time on Sunday, following reports of a 39-year-old being attacked while swimming out at a nearby shoal.
California Governor Gavin Newsom has declared a state of emergency as crews race to contain a toxic chemical leak at a manufacturing facility in Orange County. A tank containing about 7,000 gallons of methyl methacrylate, a highly volatile and flammable substance used to make plastic, was at risk of failure, officials warned. Thousands of Garden Grove residents are under evacuation orders as a precaution. A man has died after a shark attack off the coast of Queensland in northeast Australia. Police say the man was rushed to shore after being bitten on Sunday near Kennedy Shoal, a shallow reef about 45 kilometres, 28 miles off the coast, a Queensland Police Service spokesperson said.